Hey, welcome back. Today gets dark. These ones really stuck with me. Drop a like and subscribe if you want more. Let's get into it. My older coworker keeps licking my arm when nobody's around, and everyone thinks he's just quirky. This one sat with me for a while. Not because it's the most violent thing I've come across, not because it ends in some huge dramatic confrontation. It sat with me because of how small it starts. How deniable every single moment is on its own, and how easy it was for everyone around her to just not see it. She posted this from a throwaway, and the way she wrote it, you could tell she was bracing for people to call her crazy. I just graduated high school last spring and landed my first real office job at a small insurance firm. 8 employees total, little strip mall building, everyone's been there forever. I was so excited. I finally felt like a real adult. There's this senior claims adjuster, Gerald, been with the company over 20 years. Everyone calls him a character. From my first week, he started finding reasons to be close to me, leaning over my desk to point at my screen, hovering by the printer whenever I walked up. I didn't think much of it at first. Then, about 3 weeks in, I'm reaching into the file cabinet and I feel something warm and wet drag across my elbow. I froze. Spun around. He was already 3 steps away, humming to himself, not even looking back. I stood there, shaking, went to the bathroom and scrubbed my arm with hand soap until the skin was red. I told myself I imagined it. Maybe it was his sleeve. Maybe I'm losing it. 3 days later, it happened again. This time my wrist, while I was holding the door open for him. It was deliberate, unmistakable. He made brief eye contact, smirked, and goes, "You're so jumpy, kid." I spent my entire lunch break sitting in my car staring at the 2 raw red marks on my arm where I'd been scrubbing, wondering if I was actually losing my mind. And that was only the beginning. Because when she finally worked up the nerve to say something, that's where this story starts to really break apart. So she tries to handle it the way most people would. Quietly, rationally. Like if she just adjusts enough of her own behavior, the problem will stop on its own. What she does next is going to feel painfully familiar to anyone who has ever been the youngest person in a room where everyone else already decided the rules do not apply to one of their own. I started wearing long sleeves in July, in a building where the AC barely works. I moved my desk so my back was against the wall instead of the open room. I started timing every trip to the printer. If Gerald was anywhere near it, I would just wait. I stopped eating lunch in the break room. Most days I stopped eating lunch at all. Every time someone walked behind my chair, I flinched so hard my whole body would lock up before my brain even caught what was happening. I finally worked up the nerve to tell someone. There was a woman in the office, mid-30s, seemed nice enough. I chose my words so carefully. "Has Gerald ever made you uncomfortable?" She laughed. Actually laughed. Said he was harmless, just old school. Told me I should not take things so seriously. So I said it directly. He licked my arm. Her face changed for maybe half a second. Then it reset like a switch flipped. "That is just Gerald being Gerald. He does not mean anything by it." I went to the office manager next. She is technically HR, but she is also the owner's wife, so take that for what it is worth. She listened. She nodded. She said she would have a chat with him. Nothing changed. The following week, I was standing at the copier and I felt it again. This time, my upper arm near the shoulder. He leaned in close and whispered, "Strawberry lotion today?" Then he walked away like nothing happened. I went home that night and cried in the shower for almost an hour. Then I picked up my phone and searched. Does someone licking you without your consent count as assault? She told someone. She told 2 someones. She went as far up the chain as you can go in an 8-person office. And every single one of them looked at her and sent her right back to her desk with nothing. That search she did sitting in that shower, that is the moment something shifts inside a person. When you have to ask the internet whether what is happening to you is real enough to count. because not one person around you will say it out loud. Something shifted in OP after that last incident. She stopped being scared and started getting angry. I started writing everything down. Dates, times, what he said, which arm. I bought a cheap notebook and kept it in my glove box so nobody at the office would find it. I got 3 long-sleeve undershirts from Target, the thin ones you can layer under a blouse. I figured if he couldn't get to skin, maybe he'd stop. He didn't stop wanting to. We were in a team meeting and I looked up and he was just staring at my forearm. Not my face, not the whiteboard, my forearm. I moved my arm under the table and he still didn't look away for 5 seconds. I told my mom that night. She believed me right away, which honestly made me cry harder than anything else had. But her advice was just quit. Find something else. She said it's not worth the fight. I get it, she was protecting me, but I need this job. I have rent, I have a car payment, and I'm not letting this man push me out of a position I earned. So I started looking into body cameras. Found one that clips onto a lanyard and looks like a badge reel. $40 on Amazon. I wore it every single day for 3 days. On day 3, he came up behind me at the filing cabinet and did it again. Quick, wet, right across my wrist. I flinched and he whispered, "Relax, kid," and walked off. I didn't look down at the camera. I just kept breathing. Went home that night, sat on my bed with the laptop open and the camera plugged in. I haven't watched the footage yet. And this is where the story takes the turn nobody expected, including OP. The reaction in the comments was immediate. This isn't quirky. This is sexual assault. Full stop. Please tell me you've reported this to someone outside the company. I had a coworker who used to smell my hair every time he walked past my desk. Management told me to take it as a compliment. I quit 2 weeks later. I wish I'd fought like you're fighting. The fact that he specifically targets your elbow and forearm, areas people would dismiss as not that serious, tells me he knows exactly what he's doing. He picked body parts that make your complaint sound silly to people who weren't there. That's exactly what happened when I told my manager. He literally said, "Your elbow?" with this little smirk like I was making a big deal out of nothing, and I could see it click in my head. This man chose the one spot on my body that would make me sound crazy for reporting it. That's not impulsive, that's strategy. OP came back a few days later with an update post, and this is where the whole story changes. I got him on camera, and what I found out is worse than the licking. I reviewed the footage last night, had to watch it 3 times because my hands were shaking so bad the first 2, but it's there, clear as day. His tongue dragging across my forearm. You can see me flinch. You can see him step back and walk away like absolutely nothing happened. But here's the thing, that's not what broke me. About 4 seconds after it happens, in the background of the footage, another coworker, a woman in her 40s, walks down the hallway behind us. Gerald turns toward the hallway after licking my arm, and they make direct, sustained eye contact. She does not react. Her expression doesn't change. She just looks away and keeps walking. I found her after work and confronted her privately. She went pale, then quiet. Then she said, "He did it to the last girl too. She quit. We all just hoped he'd stop." I asked her how long they've all known. She didn't answer directly. She just said, "I'm sorry." That's when it finally clicked. They didn't fail to protect me. They chose not to. Every single one of them knew. I was just the acceptable loss. The comments absolutely erupted on this one. Employment attorney here. Document everything. Dates, times, what you were wearing, who was nearby. Text yourself immediately after each incident so you have time-stamped records. Do not go to HR first. They protect the company, not you. Seconding this hard. My sister went to HR about a similar situation, and they immediately told the guy who reported him. He didn't get fired. She got restructured out of her position within 2 months. HR is the company's immune system, and you are the infection as far as they're concerned. I'm physically ill reading this. The fact that he hums while walking away means he's done this so many times it's routine to him. That's predator behavior. That's the part that rewrites everything. It was never just one man in his 50s with a problem. It was a whole office that decided she wasn't worth the trouble of doing the right thing. OP came back one last time. And this post was different. No shaking, no second guessing, just facts. I filed a police report on Monday, EEOC complaint on Tuesday. On Wednesday, the owner's wife called me, not as HR, not as a manager, just as someone trying to make this go away. She offered me a transfer to a different branch with a small raise if I dropped everything. I said no. I have a lawyer now. I am not going to name them, but they are very good and they are very motivated. Since my last post, 3 former employees reached out to me. 3 women. They all have their own Gerald stories. I was not the first, and I was not even close to the second. I want to thank every single person in these comments who believed me when the people sitting 5 feet from me chose not to. You are the reason I didn't take that transfer. You are the reason I didn't just quit and disappear like the ones before me. My lawyer has told me to stop posting publicly, so this is my last update. Thank you all. I really mean that. Goodbye. She deleted her account right after. Gone. The part where you said you scrubbed your arm raw broke me. You shouldn't have to sanitize yourself at work. I'm so sorry. Do not take that transfer. That is textbook retaliation disguised as a peace offering. Your lawyer needs to know about that call immediately. Just to be clear for anyone reading, the transfer offer itself is a violation. They conditioned a benefit on dropping a federal complaint. OP's lawyer is going to have a field day with that one. The thing that stays with me about this one is that the horror was never just one man. It was a whole office full of adults watching a teenager get violated in small, deniable increments and deciding together, silently, that it wasn't their problem. The system didn't break. It worked exactly as it was designed to work. It protected the person with seniority and sacrificed the one without it. But that is not the only story I found this week where the people who were supposed to help turned out to be the problem. This next one starts with a babysitter and a nanny cam. My smart lock has been opening at 3 a.m. every night for the past 2 weeks, and I live alone. Posted to X by Locked Out Sarah. This one starts quiet, almost boring, and that is exactly what makes it hit so hard later. So I, 27 female, just bought my first home about 3 months ago. Suburb outside of Charlotte, quiet street, nice neighbors, the whole deal. I have never been more proud of anything in my life. I did this alone. No partner, no co-signer, just me. Everything was perfect until 2 weeks ago when I opened my smart lock app to check something and noticed the activity log. There were entries I did not make. Door unlocked, 3:07 a.m. Almost every single night for 2 weeks straight. I sleep with a white noise machine cranked up, so I have never heard a thing. First thing I did was check my Ring doorbell. Pulled up the timeline for those nights, and the footage from 3 a.m. to about 3:15 a.m. is just gone. Black gaps. Every single night. No recording, no motion alert, nothing. I tried to be rational about it. Firmware bug. Power flicker killing the camera. Maybe the lock app glitches when it auto-updates overnight. I almost convinced myself. Almost. But I could not shake it, so I went to Walmart and bought a cheap $30 camera. Hid it on a bookshelf in the hallway, pointed straight at the front door. That night, I forced myself to go to sleep like normal. White noise on, lights off. Morning comes and I pull the SD card. At exactly 3:07 a.m., my front door slowly swings open, wide open. 4 minutes later, it swings shut. Nobody walks in, nobody walks out. I almost felt relieved for a second, like maybe it is just a draft or the latch failing. Then I scrubbed frame by frame. My hallway runner rug shifted 6 inches toward my bedroom between 2 frames. Something moved that rug. Something that does not show up on camera. I am 10 feet away, sleeping through all of this. She is not alone in that house. She just does not know what she is sharing it with yet. And this is only the beginning of what Locked Out Sarah finds. After that hallway footage, OP completely spirals. She doesn't sleep that night. She goes through every single room in her house with fresh eyes. And once she starts actually looking, she realizes the signs have been there for weeks. I went room by room, and suddenly all these little things I'd been dismissing just hit me at once. The kitchen chair. It's always slightly pulled out from the table when I wake up. I figured I was just forgetting to push it in. A glass sitting clean in the drying rack that I have zero memory of washing. My bathroom hand towel damp every single morning even though I only shower at night and hang it up dry. I never connected any of it until now. I set up a second hidden camera in the kitchen pointed at the counter in the fridge. Went to bed with a knife on my nightstand, which felt insane, but I didn't care anymore. Next morning, I checked both cameras. Front door. Opens at 3:07 a.m., closes at 3:11 a.m. Identical to every other night. Kitchen cam. Here's where it gets bad. Nothing visibly moves. No figure, no shadow, nothing. But when I scrub frame by frame between 3:08 and 3:09, the fridge door goes from closed to open to closed again. And an apple in my fruit bowl shifted about 2 inches to the left. That's it. Just objects quietly rearranging while nothing visible touches them. I keep going back and forth on calling the police, but what would I even tell them? Someone moved my apple? My towel was damp? A kitchen chair was pulled out? They'd look at me like I was having a breakdown. I bought this house from an estate sale about 4 months ago. The previous owner relocated fast, apparently. I don't know if that's related, but right now everything feels related and I don't know what to do anymore. She's got camera footage that proves something is happening inside her home every single night. But nothing on that footage shows a person. No figure. No shadow. Just the quiet rearrangement of her things by something she cannot see. And that last detail just hangs there. Previous owner left in a hurry. OP doesn't know why yet, but she's starting to wonder if maybe they weren't running from the house. Maybe they were running from whatever walks through that front door at exactly 3:07 every single morning. This thread caught fire overnight. 4 minutes is a long time for a door to be open with nobody visible. Have you checked if there's a crawl space or attic access in that house? Some older builds have weird entry points. I just checked and there's a panel in the back of my bedroom closet that leads to a crawl space. I never even knew it was there. It was behind a row of winter coats. The panel isn't screwed in, it just sits in the frame. I'm typing this from my car. And that is when the thread shifted from creepy to urgent. So after I calmed down enough to go back inside, I started going through everything people were telling me to check. Someone said look at the registered fingerprints on my smart lock app. I opened it up expecting to see just mine. There were two. 2 registered fingerprints. I only ever added 1. I screenshotted it and my hands were shaking so bad the first 3 attempts came out blurred. I wanted to leave, but I can't afford a hotel right now, and I don't want to be that person who overreacts to what could still be a glitch. So I compromised. Bought a door wedge from the hardware store, jammed it under my bedroom door as hard as I could. Set up another hidden camera in the living room. And then something else hit me that I haven't been able to shake. About a month ago, I bought a 2-pack of toothbrushes. I figured I just accidentally grabbed a double pack, whatever. But both of them have been used. Every single morning, the second one's bristles are wet. Someone has been brushing their teeth in my bathroom. With my toothbrush. While I sleep 10 feet away. The rug moving 6 inches is what got me. That means something with weight walked past it toward your bedroom. Please tell me you're not still sleeping there. Please go stay somewhere else tonight. Not tomorrow, tonight. Screenshot every log entry and bring it to the police. This is not a ghost story, this is a crime in progress. The thread went quiet after that. OP stopped responding. And hundreds of people sat there refreshing, waiting, hoping she actually jammed that door wedge in tight enough. Then OP came back with an update post, and the tone was completely different. No nervous energy, no exclamation points. This was someone riding on autopilot after seeing something that broke them. I found out who's been coming into my house, and I can't stop shaking. I set up one last camera. Inside my bedroom closet, pointed at the back wall where I noticed a seam in the drywall behind my hanging clothes. Last night, I pretended to sleep. At 3:04 a.m., 3 minutes before the front door log entry, my closet camera captured a man pushing open a panel in the back wall and stepping out from behind my clothes. He stood at the foot of my bed for 2 full minutes. Didn't move, just watched me breathe. Then he walked through my house like he lived there. Kitchen camera caught him opening my fridge, eating my leftovers, drinking from a glass he pulled from the cabinet. Bathroom camera caught him brushing his teeth with the second toothbrush. At 3:11 a.m., he walked out my front door and the smart lock re-engaged behind him. I checked the authorized users list. There are 2 fingerprints registered. I only added 1. He has been doing this for weeks, and I have been sleeping through all of it. The response to this one was immediate. Former locksmith here. Someone added a second authorized fingerprint or PIN to your lock. Factory reset it right now and check the authorized users list. Screenshot everything before you do. This is the comment OP needs to see. If there's a second fingerprint registered, that means someone had physical access to the lock's programming mode, which means they were inside the house long enough to set it up. That's not a hack, that's someone who was already there. Could be a smart lock glitch, but the missing ring footage is what kills that theory for me. Glitches don't selectively delete video. It wasn't a glitch. A contractor installed the smart lock before the previous owner sold the house. He had physical access during installation. He added his fingerprint then. It was him the whole time. OP came back with an update post, and the tone had completely shifted. I found out who's been coming into my house, and I can't stop shaking. I called the police from my neighbor's house. I refused to go back inside alone. Officers went through the closet and found the panel in the back wall. Behind it was a full crawl space. Inside, they found a sleeping bag, granola bar wrappers, a phone charger plugged into an outlet the builder had wired inside the crawl space during construction, and a pile of my clothes he had taken from my laundry. Shirts, underwear, a hoodie I sleep in. They identified him within 2 days. He was a contractor who worked on the smart lock installation before the previous owner flipped the house. He kept the app credentials and added his own fingerprint during the original setup. He knew the layout. He knew the access points. He knew where I slept. He was arrested but released on bail within 48 hours. I'm staying with my family 2 states away now. The house is listed for sale. I don't think I will ever feel safe in a home again. I still wake up at exactly 3:07 a.m. every single night, heart pounding, staring at the closet door, even when there is no closet door, even when I am 2 states away. My body remembers what my brain is trying to forget. The comments hit different on this one. I physically cannot read this in my apartment alone at night. The fact that you slept through 2 weeks of this is genuinely the most terrifying part. He wasn't haunting your house. He was living in it. That's worse than any ghost story. They call it frogging, someone secretly living inside your home. And what gets me here is the smart lock. The tech that was supposed to keep her safe was the exact thing that let him in. He didn't break a window. He used a fingerprint. The scariest part was never the intruder. It was the 2 weeks of not knowing. The shifted rug, the damp towel, the second toothbrush. The evidence was always there. She just hadn't learned to see it yet. But on to the next one. My wife, 31 female, has been making candles with our house keys melted inside them, and I don't know how long this has been going on. This one showed up on X back in January, and it is one of those posts where every single detail makes the next one worse. OP goes by Burnt Wick Husband, and it starts off sounding completely normal. Me and my wife have been married 5 years. She is into all the wellness stuff, crystals, journaling, meditation, the whole thing. I never really paid attention to it because it made her happy, and it was not hurting anyone. One of her big hobbies is making candles. She has molds and wicks and wax and fragrance oils all over the craft room. Every night she lights a few and sits in the living room with her eyes closed for like 30 minutes. I would just be in the other room watching TV. Normal Tuesday night stuff. Now here's the thing. I lose keys constantly. It has been a running joke between us for years. Car keys, house keys, work keys. I go through them like socks. She always laughs about it. Always says I would lose my head if it was not attached. So last Wednesday, she is out at her sister's place and I am home alone. One of her candles on the mantle tips over and cracks on the hard wood. I go to clean it up and there is something inside the wax. I pull it out. It is a key. Not just any key. It is my old car key. The one I swore I lost at a Shell station 2 years ago. I almost laughed. Then I noticed it was wrapped tight in this thin strip of paper. I sat down at my desk and unrolled it under the lamp, grabbed a magnifying glass because the writing was so small. My full legal name, first, middle, last, written hundreds of times in her handwriting, both sides, edge to edge. So small it looks like texture from a distance. I just sat there holding it. The house was dead quiet, and I could hear it ticking around me. I am still sitting here. She will be home in an hour. And that is where part 1 ends. OP is sitting alone in his house, holding a key that should not exist, wrapped in paper covered in his name, pulled from a candle his wife made, and burned every single night while he was in the next room. This one escalates fast. After what he pulled out of that first candle, OP does not sleep. He lays there the entire night next to her in the dark, mentally cataloging every key he has ever reported missing. And by morning, he is not confused anymore. He is focused. The second she leaves for work, he starts. I didn't sleep, not even close. I laid there for 6 hours listening to her breathe, staring at the ceiling, running through every key I've lost in the last 5 years. The car key at the Shell station, the spare house key that vanished off my ring, my filing cabinet key at work. Every single time I thought I was just being careless, and every single time she was right there telling me not to worry about it. She left for work at 8:15 like always. By 8:16, I had a hammer. I started with the candle on the bathroom shelf, cracked it clean open on the tile floor. Inside, a house key, the copy I had made for our neighbor Dave, who was supposed to water plants while we were in Colorado. It disappeared from my keyring the day before we left. I remember being annoyed about it. Same wrapping as the first one. Thin paper strip, my full legal name written over and over in her handwriting. I moved to the bedroom. My office desk key. The garage. A key to my parents' storage unit. Guest room. Kitchen windowsill. The little one she keeps on top of the fridge. Every single candle in this house had a key inside it. I counted 14 total. 14 keys. Every key tied to my life. Every door, every lock, every way in and out. Sealed in wax, she burns down a little more each night while I sit 10 feet away watching TV. I went through my key ring after. My gym locker key is gone. I have no idea when it disappeared. This is not a quirk. This is not some weird hobby. This is a project, and it has been going on way longer than I want to think about. And right there is where this story changes shape, because you can almost talk yourself into explaining one candle, maybe two. But a system this precise, running this long, touching every single access point in his life, that is not something you stumble into by accident. That is something you design. And whatever she has been building, night after night, wick by wick, it is not finished yet. Now at this point, a lot of people in the thread were telling OP to just confront her, ask her directly. But he explains why he could not do that. I know everyone is going to say, just ask her. I thought about it. I sat in the driveway for 20 minutes rehearsing how I would bring it up. But the thing that stopped me is how careful all of this is. The paper strips are all the same width. The handwriting is identical on every single one. This is not someone having a weird moment. This is someone who has been doing something very specific for a very long time and has never once slipped up or mentioned it. That kind of discipline scares me more than the keys do. So instead of asking, I waited until she left for her sister's place on Saturday, and I went through her craft room. Top shelf of the closet, I found a shoebox. Inside were blank paper strips pre-cut to the exact same size as the ones wrapped around the keys. There was a folded notebook page with a list of dates going back 3 years. Each date had a description next to it. Silver, his mom's house. Brass, filing cabinet. Small silver, gym locker. Some of the dates were in the future. She has keys planned that she has not taken yet. Under the strips, I found dried herbs bundled with twine and a hand-copied page of text in a language I do not recognize. Not Spanish, not French, not anything I can place. I am posting photos of it here because I need someone to tell me what this is. And this is where the thread started to shift. I study Appalachian folk traditions. What you are describing is binding work. The name repetition is called fixing. It ties a person to a place or a relationship. The herbs look like devil's shoestring and angelica root. This is old practice, and whoever taught her knew exactly what they were doing. Was her grandmother from the rural South by any chance? This has Eastern Kentucky written all over it. Yes, her grandmother was from a small town outside Hazard, Kentucky. She passed when my wife, 31 female, was 15. My wife does not talk about her much, but she kept all her journals. I never thought to look at them until right now. Brother, she is not meditating. She is working on you. After that last comment, OP went completely silent. 2 full days with no replies, no updates, no activity on the account at all. 2 days of dead silence, and then OP came back with an update post. I watched the camera footage, and my lawyer told me not to go home. I set up a small camera inside a hollowed-out book spine on the living room shelf facing her candle table. She had no idea. I watched the footage from my office the next day, and I had to watch it 6 times because I kept thinking I was seeing it wrong. She comes in at exactly 11 p.m., lights the candles that are already there. Then she reaches under the couch and pulls out a fresh one I have never seen before. She takes a lighter and melts the top of it, drops in a key, I could not tell which one, and a rolled up strip of paper. She smooths the wax back over with the back of a spoon like she has done this 1,000 times. Then she closes her eyes and starts whispering. I could not make out the words. This goes on for almost 20 minutes without stopping. Then she goes completely still, opens her eyes, and she turns, not toward the candle, not toward the window, directly toward the camera hidden on the bookshelf. She looks right into the lens, and she whispers, "You're not going anywhere." I never told her about the camera. It was inside a book spine. I showed the clip to my lawyer, and he went quiet for a long time. I have not slept in the bedroom since. The thread went from unsettled to something else entirely after that. Brother, this is not meditation. This is a binding ritual. I'm not even into the occult, and I know what this is. She is literally locking you to her. It's specifically a key binding. The name paper is called a petition paper in Hoodoo and folk traditions. Writing the target's name repeatedly is meant to dominate their will. Wrapping it around a key and sealing it in wax is supposed to make it so the person can never unlock themselves from you. The candle burning activates it. She's not doing this casually. Someone trained her. I've seen this exact type of thing in Appalachian folk magic. Keys in wax with a name paper is old school binding work. Your grandmother-in-law taught her well. OP did not reply to any of it. But the fact that he is posting from his office and refusing to go home tells you everything you need to know about where his head is at. So here's where things landed. OP came back one last time with an update post. I watched the camera footage, and my lawyer told me not to go home. I'm going to keep this short because I don't have the energy for anything else. I copied every important document I have: birth certificate, passport, financial records, tax returns, insurance papers, to a friend's secure cloud drive. I packed a bag with 2 weeks of clothes and started keeping it locked in my bottom desk drawer at work. Then, I consulted a divorce attorney. I showed him the camera footage. This is a guy who has been practicing family law for over 20 years. He has seen custody battles, stalking cases, restraining orders, all of it. He watched the clip twice, set his pen down, went pale, and told me to document everything, and under no circumstances go home alone. I have a formal separation plan in motion now. I'm staying at a friend's place, and only a handful of people know where. I don't know what comes next, but I know I'm not going back to that house. She hasn't called, she hasn't texted, she hasn't asked where I am. I think she already knows. His account went dormant 3 weeks after that post. No further updates. But the comments kept coming in. Please tell me you're not still sleeping in that house. The candles aren't decoration. You are literally surrounded by cages she built for you. The fact that she isn't reacting is the scariest part of all of this. This one sits with you because there's no monster, no ghost, no demon, just a person you chose to share your life with, quietly and methodically sealing every door you might walk through. Every lock, every spare, every way out, sealed in wax and burned down night after night. And maybe the most unsettling part isn't the candles or the keys or even the camera moment. It's that OP might never really know when it started, what it was for, or whether leaving was something she allowed him to do. Anyway, that is the last story for today.